Previously on Bold.
I don't know if Gary's reading the messages at the bottom of the Skype screen there. I don't know if you can see them. Gary?
No, I haven't got them at the
All right, good. No, I was just sending you. I'm going to kill our video, Gary. Don't panic about that. We're still there. We can still hear you and see you as well. I was just saying that we will try to avoid the number 6 during this discussion.
I was expecting some lovely start from you.
Yeah, well, that's it. We will not refer to that number again. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what because John comes and says no. He starts by saying in the headlines the result yesterday or the Spurs Man City game. It says, and today we're going to talk to Gary Mabbutt. Has he got a cruel streak or something?
Not at all. I know Gary. I wanted to chat to him last week and set him up for you, Darren, and I just thought, well, I didn't want him to think that we'd forgotten about him.
So you thought you'd wait until they take 6 from Man City and then set him up? I mean, come on, John.
Well, Gary's such a gentleman. He will handle anything. I know that.
Of course he is.
Yes.
Nice to chat to you again, Gary.
Yes, great to hear you again, guys. But I have to say that a couple of years ago, I was texting all my Arsenal friends after Arsenal lost 8-2 at Old Trafford. And of course, I'm now being paid back for that. What goes around comes around. My phone has been full of messages from my Arsenal fans ever since the game yesterday. So please, I've taken a lot so far, so I've got broad shoulders today.
Yeah, I think that would make football so much fun, especially amongst the fans, is that you sort of put in the memory banks. I know some people save tweets and wait for the next game, and as soon as they get a chance, it's like fire back.
Absolutely. I've been fired back out all day.
Yeah. Well, listen, it just takes a week, another good result, and you guys are back in it again. But I mean, just speaking of Spurs, what's the general feeling amongst Spurs fans over there? Because I've seen a couple of people with what was last year the hashtag Wenger out is now AVB out.
Well, no, I mean, I think what it is that we actually felt we could go to the Etihad Stadium and come back with something. Where we've been playing away from home this season, of course, you know full well that Man City have the best home record of any team in the Premiership. But we felt the way that we've been defending, we'd only conceded 6 goals in 11 games the whole season up until yesterday. So we felt we could get something now. I think that was why it's such a massive disappointment. I think if you may have heard Andre's comments after the game, he was using adjectives to sum up his feelings, and it was absolutely correct. On the day, Manchester City overall were excellent. We were well below par, and of course, we were put to the sword.
One thing that does make it a little worse for a lot of Spurs fans, though, and that's one of the sentiments that I've noticed coming out, is the fact that they had spent about 100 million bolstering their squad in the transfer window. Is that more cause for concern that with that kind of spend, results like that happen, and obviously they're starting to fall, still early days, but falling behind in the chase?
Well, I think it's fair comment after a 6-0 drubbing for fans to come out and to make their feelings known. But if you're looking at our squad of players, we spend 100 million. We've got the likes of Lamela, we've got the likes of Paulino. I mean, Lamela scored 15 goals in Serie A last year. Paulino, he's an attacking midfield player who can get goals from the midfield areas. At the moment, we're playing with a lone striker. If you're playing with a lone striker, you need to get goals and support from the midfield area. We're not been getting that all season. What has to happen is that you have to create opportunities and chances. We haven't been doing that either. Anything we have created, we've not taken advantage of. So despite controlling games for long periods, having most of the possession, we are not able to turn that possession into goal advantage. And of course, after yesterday, it was glaringly obvious. After the first goal went in after 14 seconds, Tottenham bounced back. In my opinion, for the next half an hour, we were the better team. We actually took the game to Manchester City. We put them on the back foot, but we could not break them down. That is where we've been lacking this year. And this week, I think AVB, the coaching team, all the backroom staff, the tactical team, have to look at ways in which we can get players further forward and into goal-scoring positions.
I just say it's still early days, so there's time to rectify. I think one of the things, though, that with the amount of sides that are challenging for those top 4 positions, and the league's wide open, is as someone put it today. I'm trying to remember who going. When you look at it, with sides that are, the people are always talking about top four, and it's Man City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United obviously got their own catch up to do as well. But out of those six sides, you fall too far behind. Massive pressure, probably more so than last year, to try and get back into that top four.
Well, again, that's a fair comment, but I actually think it's less pressure this year because if you look at the table, we've slipped to ninth in the table, okay? But we are only 4 points off second place. Liverpool in second are only 4 points in front of us in ninth. So that shows how tight it is at the top there. It shows, one defeat, can cost you 3 or 4 places. And that's why we've got a game coming up on Sunday against Manchester United, which has now become vitally important. We've only picked up 1 point in our last 3 Premiership games. And of course, with Arsenal being on top form at the moment, clear at the top of the table, with Liverpool looking strong at the moment, Man City's yesterday's performance, and of course, they're battling to get results away from home, but everyone has their own problems. And United got caught out in the last minute yesterday, so they dropped 2 more points. So yes, it's still there for for everybody that got the opportunity to fight for that top four spot. And overall, looking at our squad, yes, you can say how much money has been spent, but we brought in 7 new players 3 months ago. You can't expect all those players to gel, to get the right combination of players overnight. It's going to take time, but I think certainly over the next 2 or 3 years, Tottenham will have a squad that can easily put in a challenge for the major honour at the top of the table. But I think this season, our aim has to be getting into the top four. Yeah. And that's still, looking at the results, how they're going, that's still a possibility.
Yeah, that's the key thing, getting into that top four, because as much as you get players and you want to plan for the future, we know what some of these players are like. They want to play Champions League football. You miss out, you start to have to deal with all that pressure about players that might want to look elsewhere and blah, blah. I mean, we've all been down that road in terms of our teams where, players want to win trophies and play Champions League football. So, and also the other thing, it makes a game like this weekend's game, the next game for Spurs and Man United, both of them slipping up over the weekend, Man U drawing with Cardiff. That's potentially a 6-pointer. So as you say, a win over Man United vaults them back up, but then Man United are sitting under some kind of pressure. So you've still got quite a few games coming up against teams that are in that sort of top half or above you in the league, which become just that more vital and adds more pressure.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what makes it such a great league. I think it's the most exciting at the moment, with so many teams, to and froing and leapfrogging each other and then falling back again. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of teams at the top there that are fighting for those positions. In fact, one of my Arsenal friends was very mean to me today, and he said it's a huge game coming up on Sunday. Tottenham and Man United fighting for a Europa League place.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the type of stick I've been taking.
Yeah, and I think he might be hoping for a draw as well, Gary.
Well, I mean, we need the 3 points. We're more than capable of that. But say it's going to be a huge task on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in effect, some of the results, even with the Gunners losing to Man United previously, they coming back with a win over Southampton. I think have slipped down to 4th now. Yeah. So a win against one of the sides in the top 5, top 6. Results have kind of worked out well for them this weekend because Liverpool also dropped points there in that awesome 3-3 draw against Everton.
Yeah, and again, a fantastic game. But, teams are going to drop points. You have hiccups throughout the season. You have results that you got no idea where that result came from. Certainly, no one expected us to have got beaten 6-0, considering that going into the game yesterday, we conceded 6 in 11 games. And only, I think it was 1 goal away from home. It's you have these results. You got to say it was, for a number of our players, a very bad day at the office. We now got to get back on track. It's how the players respond to what's happened.
Yeah.
I think that's what AVB will be looking for. We got a Europa League game away in Norway in Tromsø on Thursday, and of course United on Sunday. So they're 2 big games coming up for us, and it's how our chaps respond. And I've been at the training ground quite a lot this season. The morale, the camaraderie in the squad is excellent. I haven't seen it this good for a long time. And so I'm convinced that we'll see some good performances coming up in the next couple of games.
Do you think when, before we wrap it up, when we look back if you go sort of through results, like I'm just going through some of the results over the last few weeks. I mean, Man City, talk about showing absolutely no consistency whatsoever. 7-0 against Norwich, then they lose to Sunderland, then they come and put 6 past Spurs. I mean, who knows which team's going to arrive from one week to the other? But it's those games. I mean, Spurs can even sort of forgive themselves. Okay, it's 6-0. No one wants to get beaten that. But they lost against a side that they could lose to any day of the week as many as they could beat any day of the week. But it's when you're sort of getting results like Man City losing to a side like Sunderland, and as Arsenal lost to Aston Villa in the beginning. Do you think the difference is going to come to those big sides that are not going to be stumbling over those so-called minnows, like Man United have done, as you mentioned, Man City, the sides that make sure they get the 3 points from the sides they should be getting them from?
Well, exactly. I think that's what Man United, the champions, of course, did last season. They were very consistent throughout. It wasn't the most fantastic United team that have won the championship, but they got results. And however they got the results by having to drag themselves through the mud to fight and scrap for 3 points, that's what you have to do. And it's the same whether you're playing against a big team or a lower team. Sometimes you see a bit of some teams relaxing a little when they think they're up against a minnow, but those minnows can surprise you. Even Cardiff yesterday, they played some wonderful football against Manchester United. And on their day, all teams can put in a performance. And if you're slightly below par, you can be turned over. And that goes for any team. But in the end of it, it comes to, because you're going to slip up occasionally against some of the, say, teams in the bottom half of the table, it makes it more important that when you're playing against the teams who you're competing with at the top, you have to win those games.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to start doing.
Well, Gary, we appreciate your time once again during the course of the year to be able to chat football to you. We wish you all the best for the festive season and the Christmas period as well. Just a final one from my side. Come the other side of Christmas when we're back here on the 13th of January. Obviously, that Christmas period is busy, and it's been good to some teams. It's been not so good for other teams, like my side, for instance. I think they've had more bad Christmas periods than good ones. Who do you see top of the table after Christmas? Or after the New Year?
If I'm being honest, at the moment, for any Arsenal fan out there, I'm liking very much what I'm seeing from that side. But of course, when you're playing so many games in a short period of time, as in over the Christmas period, 1 or 2 injuries, if you had injuries to maybe Giroud or Wilshere or Ozil, suddenly whether Arsenal have the strength in depth to compensate for that, I'd question.
We got Bentner.
So, there's all those things that come into it. Sorry?
We got Bentner. Come on, Real Madrid and Barcelona are baying for him.
I know. Exactly. He thinks he's the best player in the world.
And Thierry Henry as well. He's bound to make a comeback for Christmas again.
No, he's apparently there with the Arsenal.
He's training with him. While he's in off-season. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but it's an important time of the season. It's vital for teams to try and pick up points over that period. It's a tough period for all the sides. Say a lot of things can happen. A lot of points can be won or lost. So when we speak, probably into the new year, it'll be very interesting to see where we are. But I'd probably say that I still imagine Arsenal to be at the top, and hopefully we're in 4th or 5th place.
All right, getting ready for the final sort of downhill straight to the end of the season. Another fascinating English Premier League season. Again, of course, lots of European football coming up this week again. Thank you very much, Gary. Have a very, very blessed Christmas over there, and to you and the family. And thank you again for your time during the course of this year.
Cheers, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Right, bye-bye. There we go. Gary Mabbutt joining us on Balls Visual Radio.
Visual Radio. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Radio like you've never seen it before. Balls.co.za